So I'm coming off a 5-day suspension, and the last two videos I made, the second part I actually put private. However, in the future, when this investigation is complete, then I'll repost it. It's called Vindication. And brief summary, from the first video, I was talking to my daughter, my oldest daughter, about the situation of me being suspended from my job. At that point, it was a termination, but it turned into a suspension. I was allowed to come back this past Monday, and I basically let her know, like, staying solid and standing your ground because of who you are as a person, with your standards and your core beliefs. Standing on that and not budging or moving for anything or anybody. No job, especially no money, anything. Like, you stand solid, you stay solid and stay true to who you are. And that was the basically what I was explaining to her. The second video, I go into the details of the incident. This video, like the first, I'm not going to go into the details of the incident, but I am going to touch on the aftermath of me coming back to work, and my peers, my co-workers, who they heard about the situation. Nobody was there and to witness, like, actually what had happened. So a lot of stories is going around of what had happened. Some it's bits and pieces of truth, but a lot of it is not true. And I just want to clear some stuff up, not clear the story up, because people, I feel like you could just ask me if you want to know the truth. However, just to clear up some things, with these people who I work with and I see all the time, and, they always talk about what they would do in certain situations, and, and I just hear these things, and, I'm not a loud person. I'm not the type of person that want to be, to get all the attention and, look at me. Yeah, I'm not the biggest and the baddest, not the macho guy walking around, the biggest jock, pause. Like, I'm not none of that, but I'm just me. And, I'm a quiet individual, not timid, not shy. I'm just quiet. I stay to myself. I'm cool, and I keep it real. And I don't try to impress people. So when I get back to work, is these people that try to impress people, they are pretty much telling me that I got to be smart. I got a family, to take care of. Don't mess my money up, and you'll be all right and everything gonna be okay. But that's just telling me that they're listening to stories of what was told to them and not the truth. They're not going out trying to seek truth. They're going off stories that they heard. And I have an issue with it, because it was a few people who actually, said, I had to be smart. And I want to address that about being smart. First of all, like, if you weren't there as a witness, how can you tell me that I need to be smart? I felt like everything I did that night, when the situation happened with me and this supervisor, we get into it, I felt like I was smart. I did not what the company would have wanted me to do. I stood on my principles as a man and who I am as a person. Like, that was smart to me, because I didn't do anything that could risk my job. Granted, he told me to go home because he made a call, excuse me, a judgment call at that time in the heat of a moment, which was the wrong call to make. So again, I'm not going to go into the details, but that's what had happened. And from that's why I was off for the 5 days. But don't think just because I'm off and he's still in the building and the stories that's going around, they're going to automatically take that side of the company will take the story, his side of the story, or stories they heard from other people or some witnesses. You should take that same approach. Because if I talk to you and I got a rapport with you, just call and ask me. When you see me, just ask me. But don't tell me that I need to be smart, because if I was to do it all over again, I would do the exact same thing I did that night to this very day. I wouldn't change anything. So yeah, that I was smart. So don't tell me to be smart. I just had a bad vibe, and that just rubbed me the wrong way when people, like a few people came to me and said, you got to be smart, you got a family to look out after. I know that every time I step in the building, I'm making sure I'm working safe. I'm making sure I'm doing things, I don't want no issues with nobody. So it's like I'm always thinking about my family I have to take care of. I'm always thinking smart. Every decision that I make, even the wrong decisions that I make, I may not think it out all the way through. However, it's still smart. I wasn't wrong in the situation that I was in. So when people say, you need to be smart, and you don't want to mess up this money, it's like, man, this ain't the only job. A job is a job. Wherever you go, you just a number. You can be replaced. You could be replaced. And I just feel that, these people are the same people who would say what they would do in certain situations, and then when a situation come up, they won't do it. And to me, that's not solid. That's not, you don't have no principles. You're just gonna talk a good game, but when it's time to actually show, you ain't showing nothing but cowardness. I'ma stand on how I feel all the time. They say the loudest ones in the room, those are the weakest. All bark, no bite. But I'm the one that's sitting back, observing, watching. I hear you. And when it's time to show and prove, I show and prove every single time. Because I stand on something and my foundation is not weak. So yes, I was smart when before the situation had escalated, while the situation was escalated, and the aftermath, I was smart. And in this very day, if I was to do it all over again, I would do it the exact same way. I wouldn't do nothing else different. And this is why I was brought back to work, because it was proven that the claim that was made against me wasn't true. You got to stay solid and true to who you are and stand on your principles. When you do things to please others, to try to keep a job, especially to get some money, you'll sell yourself out for some money. Sell out your standards of who you are as a person. You'll sell that out just so you can, well, I got to get this money because I got a family to take care of. That ain't me. That ain't me. That may be you, but that's not me. And if that is you, cool. I have no issue with that. That's you. But don't turn around and tell me what I should have done when you don't even know the true story. So yeah, I had an issue with that when a few people came to me today after I came a few days ago when I came back to work, and they was telling me, to be smart. You got a family to look after. And I knew what they meant when they said it. I didn't elaborate on it, because when you start to elaborate on it, they want to say, they don't want to talk about it, because they know they're not talking about nothing, too much of nothing. I'm just saying, you got a family, man. I hear you, man. Save it. You ain't got to say nothing to me, and I really don't have to explain myself, because like I said, if I was to do it all over again, I'd do it all over again, the exact same way.